So in 2011, I had a class with this guy, and I had had two classes with him before. And in one of the previous semesters, he was like, "Let's get each other's phone numbers in case we need help or one of us misses class or something." And so I was just like, "Okay, whatever." I didn't really expect to make use of his phone number. And then the very next day after he got my phone number, he called and was like, "I'm not going to be in class the next time, so will you take notes for me or something?" I thought that was really weird. That was the only time he did it. So then, I didn't really talk to him after that except just saying hi. And then we had the class together in 2011, and um, I was just like, "Oh, hi, you're a person that I remember." And uh, and then he didn't come to class like 3 times in a row, and you're only allowed to miss like 6 times or something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but missing class was like a big deal. It was like taking points off his grade. So I texted him because I still had his phone number, and I just said, "Where are you? You're missing class. You know that that's lowering your grade." And then he texted me back and he was just like, "Oh, I'm sick or whatever because I have diabetes or something." And uh, then he came to class the next time and he was just like, "It's so nice that you texted me." And I was like, "Okay, whatever." And then that was before class, and then after class, he started saying stuff to me again, like, "It was so nice that you were thinking about me." And then he was saying, I was thinking that I was gonna kill myself because I have diabetes. And um, and he said something like, "It really touched my heart that you were thinking of me and you texted me." And I was like, I didn't even really do anything. It's not hard to send a text. And he's just like, "Just the fact that you were thinking and thought to text me." And so I'm like, "Oh my God," I thought that he was trying to flirt with me, but I also thought maybe he's not and he's just trying to be friendly. Maybe he's just really depressed and desperate for any connection with a person because he said he was depressed and thinking about killing himself. So I can't just be like, "Let me stop you right there. I do not want to date you." Because it could have been that he didn't mean it like that in the first place. So then that could be really mean and could be really hurtful. And uh, I didn't want him to then go off and kill himself because I said that. And then he's coming towards me for a hug. I mean, we were sitting next to each other, and he's just leaning at me for a hug. And I'm still thinking the same thing. I'm pretty sure that he wants to date me or have sex with me, and I very don't want to do that. I don't want him to be trying to just sort of weasel his way into a relationship with me without even ever actually coming out and saying anything. And but I still had the same concern that he may not mean it that way. He may just mean it in a friendship kind of way because obviously people can hug their friends too. So so I hugged him, and or I just sort of stood there and like let him hug me, but I kind of hugged back because I was afraid that if I just stood there it would be perceived as too rude. So I was trying to balance between not being rude and not giving a sign that I was interested when I wasn't. So I was trying to hug back the minimum amount I felt I could socially get away with. So So then he's like hugging me, and then I try to like back away, like I let go and start to pull back. And um, uh, most people, they let go and they back off when they feel you exerting pressure the other way to get out of the hug, but he didn't let go. And I'm thinking, still, I'm pretty sure he wants to have sex with me, but there's a chance that he's just like super depressed, and I don't want to be mean to him in case that's the case. So then he hugs me for like another, it felt like a whole minute, but it wasn't, it was like the whole hug was like less than 30 seconds for sure. Um, Probably like 20 seconds. I don't know. It's hard to have a sense of time when you're just like freaking out and you don't know really what's going to happen. So, so then he finally starts to pull away from the hug, and I'm just like, I want to get away. Um, so no, you know, I just, I think that I was trying to like just hurry up and get away from him, but I don't remember exactly what happened at this point. But uh, no, okay, I remember. He pulled his head away, but he didn't pull like his arms away at this point. And then I was like, I was trying to pull my entire body away, but he was still like holding on to me with his arms. So then my head was moving away from like his shoulder, and his head was moving away from my shoulder. And then I was like, oh my god, he's going to try to kiss me. And so I just turned my head completely to the side so that he couldn't have access to my lips. And I just turned my head and just stared straight over to the side, staying completely still, like he's some kind of wild animal or something. And I just stared, and a couple seconds passed, and it's like, I know he's fucking waiting for me to turn my head so he can just like jump on me with a kiss, but I didn't turn my head. So then he kissed my cheek, and he did it like sort of like, you know, gently, like he thinks this is like a big romantic thing that's happening between us. And then he finally starts to pull away, and I am just like practically tripping around him because like the door's behind him. So I'm like just trying to immediately head for the door without even like separating from the hug first. So I'm just like stumbling towards the door, and so like the my right arm that was like wrapped around him, and I'm going around him to the left, so my arm is like trailing behind. So then he like trails his hand along my arm until our hands meet, and then he like holds my hand for a second, and I still feel this pressure, like I can't just yank my hand away because that would be rude, and I still feel like there's a slight chance that I like misinterpreted everything, and so I don't want to like ruin his idea that he's making a connection with someone to save him from his suicidal depression, just in case that's what it is. So I have the thing that I don't want to like make him kill himself. I have the thing that I don't want to be rude in general, and I'm thinking like we're alone in the room at this point. Like while he was telling me about how it touched his heart that I sent him a text, all the other students and the teacher left. So there's no one else in there, and so it's just like there's a slight chance that if I piss him off, he could do something to me. Didn't seem very likely, but that was still one of the worries that was going through my head. So he holds onto my hand for a second, and I just kind of like let it trail there for a second, and then pull away, trying to make it seem like I'm just leaving because class is over, not because I think he's disgusting. And I think I said something like, like, oh, I have to go now. And then, uh, so then I'm walking down the hallway, and he's walking down the hallway, and he was he used to be on crutches, and I think at this point he wasn't. He had like an artificial leg, so he wasn't on crutches anymore, but he still had to take the elevator. And I was walking ahead of him by like 6 feet, because I just like as soon as he wasn't holding my hand anymore, I just left, and then he was back there picking up his backpack. So I'm a few feet ahead of him, and I thought about just walking onto the stairs, but then I was still thinking like he's gonna think and be right that I'm doing that on purpose to get away from him. So then he'll think I'm an asshole, and either either he meant this all like, platonically, and now I'm just a jerk, or uh, he'll just use that action of mine as an excuse to hate me, even though he knows that he really was trying to have sex with me. But he'll just like think like that I'm a I'm a bitch or whatever, um and then just start like, I don't know, trying to fuck me over somehow, or it'll just be like really incredibly awkward when we see each other again. Like there's a bunch of different things that I feel like could possibly go wrong, and some are greater concerns, lesser concerns, more likely, less likely, but they're all just running through my head. So so I turn into the little alcove where the elevator is, and then he comes up shortly after me, and then we took the elevator down together, and after that, our conversation was like just uh just of like a friendly acquaintance nature. Like if somebody saw us talking, they would just think, oh, those people were just classmates. And then we got to like a split in the sidewalk, and then I was just like, well, I have to go this way, because like that's the direction my mom's office was. And so I was just hoping that he wasn't going to go the same way, and he didn't. So we went separate ways, and then I got over to my mom's office building, and then I just stood down there at the like ground level before I went up, and I called one of my friends and told them everything, and I was just like, yeah, now that it's not happening imminently to me, I can see very clearly that entire thing was about him trying to get sex or a sexual romantic relationship out of me. There was It was definitely not just he's depressed and he needs a friend, and he's glad that there's some good person in the world who thought to text someone when they were missing class and losing points. It definitely wasn't that. The whole thing was just him trying to get a relationship or sex out of me out of awkwardness, out of pity and awkwardness. But he mentioned several times about him having diabetes, and um, being depressed. And then there was like the thing where he just basically went in for a hug without looking to see if I was interested in a hug. He didn't care at all about my desires or my consent. And he did the same thing when he tried to kiss me. He did the same thing when he held my hand weirdly for a second. And so, like, I completely believe that his hope was that I would just go along with it and end up being in a relationship with him because it was too awkward or rude or I was too scared to say no. So I just didn't talk to him again after that. We sat through the rest of that semester never talking. I'm sure he was completely confused. That's how he looked. And then another semester after that, we had a class together, and I saw him in there, and I was like, I'm not gonna say anything to him. I'm not gonna look at him. And then like on the second day of class or something, he came up to the table I was at, and he just said hi, and I said hi out of like reflex, and then I was like in my head, like, God damn it, I didn't want to talk to him. And and then he said, today's my birthday, and I said happy birthday, and that was it. That's the last time I've ever talked to him. It's been long enough that he's probably graduated and will not come back to the school. So I'll probably never have to see him again.